Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here once again, and I am here today to review The Mentalist Season 3. And this was whenever I'm not doing like videos, like no matter what, every day I watch a Mentalist episode every single day. There might be one day where I'll just watch like an old one because I don't want to, watch anything new. Like I just want to watch something comforting. So actually, what's really funny, guys, is that I've been rewatching a season 2 episode over and over again because it was so funny and it was so entertaining in some way or another, and that is Blood Money, the one with the evil lawyer or the evil wannabe district attorney. I just think that there's a lot of little funny things throughout that episode, and I think it's a very entertaining episode overall. Like, it's one of those ones where it's not like a great episode, but it's a very entertaining one. Like, my favorite part of the whole episode is when the lawyer is sitting in his office with the characters, and he just picks up this gun because Patrick says that he's scared of this gun. He's like, "What? There's a gun in this room. You're holding a gun." And he picks it up and he's like, "It's not loaded." And he just like, he handles it so like meticulously, like he's handled it like a million times. And it's like, God, how stupid could you get? And that, to me, that was so funny because that's been like the most obvious time that someone was a bad guy. Like, he just picks up that gun and he's like, and then he just throws it on the table. Like, like anyone who's ever like handled a gun like a million times and who might be a killer, that's how they would handle a gun. And so I just love that. I thought that was so funny. And I rewatched the whole episode just so I can see that. And then the part where everyone is mad at him. But in season 2, Cho was Patrick's bitch in a really good way. Like, and I'm not saying that as like a bad thing. I'm saying it because like whenever Patrick needed help, Cho was always there. It's like Cho was Patrick's right-hand man. And so even when everyone's mad at him, Patrick is like, "You want to go get some coffee?" And then they immediately cut, and you see Cho is sitting there with Patrick in this coffee place. And he has this look on his face like he's so like over everything, and he's still getting a coffee with Patrick. I mean, it's just very, very funny. Very good. I love that episode. So I know that that's not season 3, but I just wanted to give a little bit more attention to an episode that I have repeatedly rewatched. Now, we go to season 3. Now, right off the bat, this whole season, it's really interesting because the way that they treated this season is almost like the writers took my feedback from season 2, which isn't even possible because this was made like years and years ago, and I just reviewed season 2 last month, so they must have gotten really good feedback somewhere, or they just had a powwow, and they did almost every single thing that I would have done. Every single thing that I mean, not that I would have done, but I would have suggested. They did every single little thing right almost, and I just think that they really, really pulled off a great season this season. I would say I'm 85% sure that this is the best season of The Mentalist so far. And another thing that I loved about the season, because I don't want to make this like an hour long, I'm going to try my hardest not to, and I'm sorry guys, I just had my breakfast. I just had a lot of coffee. I still have a little bit of coffee left, a little tiny bit. But I really loved how beautifully planned out the season was. At least I think it was planned out, because there's so many things just from the very first episode to me that makes it feel so much more special. You know, like nowadays it feels like everything is committee made and committee approved. Everything feels like, oh well, we gave this script to like 10 different people, and each one of them gave their thoughts and feedback, and there were certain parts that we removed due to most sensitivity and shit like that. You know, Gen Z, they're very sensitive. That's what it feels like nowadays when you watch a movie or a TV show. But The Mentalist Season 3, this feels like the pure, unfiltered vision. It feels like this is the plan that they had even back in Season 2. There are a couple of little things that I didn't like, little things that didn't feel planned, and one big thing in particular was kind of like a blessing and a curse, because remember last season they reintroduced Christina, the psychic who might have been fake or might not have been fake. They reintroduced her as like a potential love interest for Patrick, even though he already had Lisbon. And then they just kind of threw her away. They kind of threw her away, and she got kidnapped and shit. And then in Season 3, she just magically reappears. And she's so traumatized, or she's so hypnotized that she can't break out of it. And it's really strange the way that they treated her storyline. It's really, really strange. Like, the only way that I would find acceptable of why they did that is if the actress was like a bad person. And I highly suspect that she's a very nice person. So it just makes me wonder, like, why? Because to me, this was the vibe I got. Remember the scene in Toy Story 2 where Andy throws Woody in the garbage can? And he says, I don't want to play with you anymore. And then Woody's like, no, Andy. And then the trash can closes. Toy Story 2 is awesome. That's the best Pixar movie. But that's what it reminded me of. Like, the writers were seriously like, I don't want to play with you anymore. And they just dropped Christina's character into the garbage can, and she never comes back. I looked at IMDb and I was like, oh no, she's gonna be dead. But she never comes back, like, and it just blows my mind, because, like, for how meticulously planned out this season was, I mean, it's so complicated, all the planning that they had to do, all the different layers and all the different characters. The one big thing that sticks out is that Christina's character, you know, just feels like a big, like, unresolved, like, matter. And in a way, it is kind of good, though, because, as I told you guys in my Season 2 review, I did not like that whole story where she was, you know, she just comes back and immediately she's a love interest, because it just kind of seemed like they needed to raise the stakes somehow, so they just brought her back to throw her away again. And if you're going to bring her back, then make her a reoccurring character, you know, and continue to develop her instead of just, you know, getting rid of her So I didn't like that. The season actually started off really well, though. Season 3 started off on a really strong note. And in particular, I already know who Red John is, I think. I highly, highly suspect I know who Red John is. And let's just say I'm not a huge fan of the character that they picked to be Red John. I think that it doesn't match up with the character at all, the guy that they got. You know, I mean, I'm not going to say who it is, and just in case anyone is watching this video, but there are some very, very obvious clues that they set out here that points that they knew who Red John was, even in season 2, maybe, because, you know, they were planning this. Because there's a lot of, you know, symmetry, a lot of, like, yin and yang. So in the season 2 finale, you see Red John, but you don't see his face. And you know that it's Red John. In the season 3 premiere, that sounded weird. I was like, premiere? You see Red John's face, but you don't know that he's Red John. To me, there's a lot of things like that I think are really cool in concept, but knowing that that guy is Red John is really, really weird. Because he does not feel like the character at all. He just doesn't... Just nothing about him feels like Red John. Nothing about him feels like this is the guy that Patrick has been hunting for years and years and years. Like that guy in season... And I will say another thing. I think that I was a little harsh to the season 2 finale. It might have just been because my Halloween wasn't very fun. But I also watched the finale quite a few times since then. And to me, that Red John character that they had in the finale, who comes in and just executes everyone, and then says a little poem in Patrick's ear, like that was Red John. That was the character that I could imagine, like, okay, that's the guy, that's the bad guy. And unfortunately, it looks like the person who they picked to be the real Red John is someone who is not Red John at all. So that's my immediate... those are my immediate two criticisms. I was going to say true criticisms, because they are both true. And so, yeah. There's also another huge hint later on in the season at who Red John is. And it's strange to me because as an audience member, it would have been hard for me not to think of that character as Red John. Like, in terms of, the clue was so blatantly obvious. You know, I mean, it's so blatantly obvious that they re-emphasize it in the season 3 finale. And still, I don't know how people didn't figure out that guy was Red John, because it was clear that the writers were trying to force that. They were trying to, you know, give you a bunch of clues and say, like, hey, this guy is, he's a bad guy. He's pretty weird. There's something that he says in the finale that's very, very bizarre, too, and it's just another strong hint. I'm not going to say who the character is, because that would just be a huge spoiler, but he says that he wishes this whole Hightower situation would just vanish, and it's like, really? Like, is that something that the never mind, I almost spoiled it, but is that something that his character would say? You know, like, I don't think so. Like, I just wish this whole situation would vanish. You know, like, that's some evil shit right there. Like, that's some, like, Epstein level type of shit. So, but overall, I really loved this season. The finale was just incredible. Like, the finale was perfect. It was a masterpiece. And one of the things that I loved about the finale, one of the many things, in fact, I almost feel like, in fact, I'm going to do it. I'm pledging it right now. The finale is so good that you could review it all by itself. And so, from here on out, I am not going to be talking about the finale because I genuinely think the finale deserves its own video. That's how good it is. In fact, I'm going to rewatch it. I'm going to rewatch it. I'm going to rewatch it. I'm going to study it because it's inspiring. Whenever I see stuff that's as good as this, I get really inspired and I want to study it so that I can, take whatever good lessons from it and apply it to my own work. Anyways, I am going to have to look through the episodes live because a lot of the episodes, like, I need to see the names, I need to see the pictures, or else nothing really is going to jump out at me. And it's only because, it's 24 episodes. 24 whole episodes. That's a lot of stuff to remember in terms of if you're doing a review. I will say this. The Mentalist Season 3 as a whole, might be the best season of TV I've ever seen. And that's saying something. Because here's the thing. TV has become trash. You only get like 8 to 10 episodes a season. You only get like 1 to 3 seasons max. You don't get anything nowadays. TV shows have become glorified miniseries. And it's all because of Breaking Bad. It's all because of Vince Gilligan saying that, TV shows don't need to overstay their welcome, which is the dumbest bullshit that I've ever heard, because TV shows as a medium is long-form storytelling. That's the whole point of TV shows. The whole point of TV shows is that they are very, very long. They're not supposed to be bite-sized, mini-series. They're supposed to be extremely long, and that gives it a lot of room for development. And what happens then is that you build up over the course of a huge season, you build up a really good story. And that story pays off. You can't do the same thing if you only have 10 to 13 episodes. You definitely can't do that if you only have 8 episodes. And so I think, personally, I would take The Mentalist Season 3, 24 episodes, over the entire series of Breaking Bad. Californication is my favorite show. That show went on for 7 seasons. It did kind of end a little early, though. I mean, the last season was terrible, and they canceled it, and I wonder what they would have done after that. But there's a lot of shows where, like, even my favorite shows where I would say, hey, I'll take The Mentalist Season 3, because they have 24 episodes. They did a lot of stuff throughout those 24 episodes. Even if you don't like a couple of them, you still have 20 more. So how could you even complain? Whereas if you have a good 10-episode season, let's say, okay, I like 3 out of 10. That's 7 episodes out of 10 that aren't very good or memorable. So I'd rather take the 24-episode season. In general. Always. Even season 2. Which isn't the best season. It was actually very flawed. So let's get into this. First off, one of the things that I liked about this season is that it kind of reminded me of the X-Files Season 3. The X-Files Season 3 was consistently good. You know, X-Files seasons were very hard because a lot of them had their huge ups and downs. You know, like there would be a lot of hits, but a lot of misses too. And Season 3 of X-Files was actually the one season where it was consistently good throughout the whole thing. Very few bad episodes. And the same thing goes for The Mentalist Season 3. I think that this season was consistently great. A big thing that I wrote notes about throughout the season, too, is that the character of Grace became complete trash in Season 3. I mean, after that whole stupid forced breakup thing with Rigsby, her story got so bad because there's so many hypocrisies throughout the season with her, and also with Hightower too. In fact, everything that happens with Hightower, it almost feels like it's karma for her forcing these two people who are in love to break up. She has a bunch of horrible shit happen to her throughout the season. And it's so funny because Hightower is like the ultimate hypocrite. Like, she is the ultimate hypocrite. And that's why I really like Hightower now. Because, like, it just shows how all that bullshit in Season 2 was just stupid. And it proved that all of that was BS. You know, because Hightower throughout the season, she is so hypocritical. Like, there's that one episode where her husband just drops off her kids at the office, and Hightower does not come back to the office to take care of them. She asks her agents to take care of them. And it's like, that's really unprofessional. And then it seemed, too, like she was going to be Patrick's love interest. And I honestly think, I don't know about you guys, but I think that Hightower would make a really nice love interest, personally. I thought that she was a really cool character in Season 3 because she was so hypocritical, which showed that I don't know why she did what she did in Season 2. I mean, there's multiple episodes where Patrick gives her a hug, and then at the end of one episode, she gives Patrick a kiss on the cheek, nonetheless. And it's like, she's really, really hypocritical, you know. Like, and I think that Patrick knew. I think that Patrick, the whole season, was trying to break her shell of bullshit and guarded immaturity. And there's another episode, too, where it's revealed that she had an affair with an officer. So, it's so hypocritical of her. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And, yeah, there's a bunch of other things, too. And it's like, oh, well, why did you do that to Rigsby and Grace? You know, like, why did you do that? And then what she did to Rigsby and Grace, it actually starts to orchestrate her downfall in Season 3. Because then Grace decides, hey, I gotta separate my work life from my personal life. So instead of dating the guy who works on the same floor as me, I'm gonna date the guy who works on the floor above me. Because that really makes a lot of sense. And so she starts dating this fucking dweebo named Craig. And he's a dweebo because he just has this is something personal. I hate it. I despise buzz cuts. I despise when a guy gets like this buzz cut where it makes them look like an ape. It makes you look like a gorilla. If you get a buzz cut where it's just, you know, fuzz on the top of your head, it makes you look like an ape. And so I really don't like characters. I don't like it when guys do that. I think that guys need to not do that, like, as a whole. I'm very particular about hair in all people. Like, and that comes from my past life. Whenever I see people with a bad haircut, it really kind of ruins my day. And this character, Craig, he's a gorilla, he's a gorilla, and he's a dweebo. The character is a dweebo. And Grace gets with him, and she gets engaged to him. And then she starts, and if that's not bad enough, because they still work together. They work together all the time throughout the season, and never once is it brought up as like a conflict or something bad. I guess because he works on the floor above her, which makes no sense whatsoever. It's still, they're still working together. And then he is secretly Red John's friend. So she got engaged to Red John's friend. I mean, that's just really, really bad. That's gotta be like, I mean, Grace in season 3 of The Mentalist, she really suffered. She got karma big time as well. Rigsby is the only one who got good karma, because he got a new girlfriend, and he got to fight his shitty dad in one episode. But Grace, she also started to plan her wedding during office hours too, like Pam in The Office. And again, it's like, oh, well, what was all that about, like, separating your work life from your personal life? You know, like, I don't think that Rigsby would do that. I don't think that Cho would do that. I don't think that Lisbon would do that. I don't think that Patrick would do that. Well, Patrick does whatever he wants. But Grace is planning her wedding during office hours. In the finale, she's more interested in getting Teresa her wedding dress that she's going to wear it at Grace's wedding. And it's like, wow, what was all that about, like, you need to break up with Rigsby because you got to separate your personal and professional life? It's just a bunch of bullshit is what it is. It's a bunch of bullshit. So yeah, Grace's character this season, she really took a dive. And there are now 3 times where she has been put in charge of protecting someone, and she has completely dropped the ball. In the finale, she let Christina go take a nap, which led to her getting kidnapped. And then there was an episode with the girl, the Abby from The Last of Us 2, season 2, and she left the guy that she was protecting so that she could go check out something in the forest. That was very stupid. And she felt really guilty about that, and they didn't even bring up that she failed to protect Christina either. And then in the finale, she does something that's so bad that personally, if I was her boss, I would have a big crush on her, but if I was her boss, I would have fired her for sure. I mean, after she did what she did in the finale, it's like, if you don't fire her, then it's just clear bias. You know, like, it is clear bias, because what she does in the finale is so bad. It's almost a shame, because, you know, I really love the actress. I think that the actress is extremely, extremely good. I think she's very beautiful. She's very pretty. She's very, very talented. You know, I love seeing her character. I was really happy that I got to see more of her, because the only other times that I've seen her have been 2 horror movies. And so I like the fact that I got to see her in such an extended period of time. And now I'll always be a fan of her. You know, I'll always try to support the work that she does, because she did such a good job here, and she has turned out to be a great actress. That being said, her character in season 3, it's not like she's like evil. It's not like she's a malicious character or a malicious actress. But the character, the way that she was written in season 3, irreversible damage has been done to her. It's to the point, to me, I think that all it would take for me is for her to acknowledge what she did and to learn from her mistakes. Because there was another part in the season where Rigsby and Craig were protecting her in a gunfight. They were in a gunfight together, and Craig was refusing to cover her. He just kind of sat there and did nothing, and it's because he was Red John's friend. And Rigsby noticed this because he is a very smart, intelligent, and professional agent, and he didn't say anything to Grace because he knew that she would take offense. She would see it as him being jealous of her and Craig. And so, I just want to see some acknowledgement in the next season. But overall, let's get into the episodes. I don't think there's anything else. I already said, look, Hightower is a hypocrite. She's a hot hypocrite, but she's still a hypocrite. Grace is also a huge hypocrite. The season should be renamed to The Destruction of Grace, because she really dropped the ball. And I don't know what's going to happen with her. She fucked it up. So I guess I'll talk about a couple of the bad episodes, the ones that I really didn't care for, and then a couple of the really good ones. And then I'll give a food review. So episode 2 was basically a ripoff of a Monk episode where Monk had to protect his relative who was on the run. And I think they said he was like his half-brother or cousin or something. And in this season, they had an episode. I didn't like it that much. It wasn't great. It wasn't great. It just kind of felt like, we're ripping off Monk. Like, they got a guy who looks exactly like the guy in Monk, Steve Zahn. They got a guy who looks like him. They had him dress like him, and it's like, look, I get you're trying to parody Monk, or you're trying to take off from Monk, but why would you do it like this? Do your own thing. So then I didn't like the episode. I liked the episode, The Blood on His Hands, but I did not like the Christina part of the episode. Then let's see. I like that one. I did not like the horse one. I thought that the horse episode was kind of weak. It's called The Red Ponies. I did like seeing Grace in the episode because she revealed she had a lot of love for ponies or horses. And in fact, this was really funny too, because Patrick used her and he had her ride this horse who might have been wild, and he might have thrown her off of him. I thought that was hilarious because, again, Grace got disrespected this entire season. She got destroyed this entire season, and so that was another instance. Let's see. What's this one? I can't remember this one. Oh, yeah, the coffin one? Yeah. That one was pretty good. I like that one. Sorry, guys, I'm doing this live. Okay, I did not like the episode where they brought back the guy from the car episode. I'm trying to see his name. Walter Mashburn. I was really excited for that character to return, but I really didn't like the episode. I thought it was kind of lame. And then The Santa episode was okay. The one with the Santa who got killed at this addiction facility by this evil nurse, evil helper. Okay, a really bad episode was Bloodsport. That was really bad. That was easily, to me, the worst episode of the season. It was all about boxing, and to me, I didn't like any of the characters that they introduced. I thought that the mystery was stupid. I didn't really care about the mystery. So, that episode sucked. And then it's too bad because they introduced two love interests for Rigsby this season. They had this Asian lady, I can't remember her name, but she comes in, and it really sucks because I think she would have made a good love interest for Rigsby or Patrick, but then she leaves. She never comes back. But that episode was good. And then, just trying to go through the episodes. So far, only like 2 or 3 that I didn't like. Going through. Wow. There are only 3 episodes. No, wait. I forgot one. I spoke too soon. There are 4 episodes out of 24 that I don't like. Let's look up. What is that average to? Or what is that? Here, 20 divided by 24. 83% of the season I like. Do you know how huge that is? For a 24 episode season, you got all those stupid people saying like, oh, I don't like 24 episode seasons because it's too long. It overstays its welcome. There's filler. There's all these bad episodes. It needs to only be like 5 to 10 episodes. Look at all these episodes that I liked out of 24. 83%. That's almost perfect. Okay, so this one episode that I forgot, it's called Ball of Fire. I did not like this episode at all. They brought back the Doctor from episode 1 of season 1, and it was all about this girl who... The thing that I didn't like was that they had a chance to bring back like another villain. Because this is all about a previous villain getting revenge on Patrick, or the daughter of a villain that he got off screen. He got before season 1 even started. And to me, I just thought it was shitty because almost the whole mystery of the episode just revolved around who she was. And if you take that away, it's a really weak episode. It also kind of felt like it was a ripoff of the Psych episode, the Shot in the Dark, where Michael Rooker kidnaps him and puts him in his car trunk or whatever. So I thought that was bad. But those 2 episodes, Bloodsport and Ball of Fire, they're my least favorite ones. All the other episodes I liked. So let's talk about some of the other ones without the finale. And it sucks because I'm getting to an hour, so I failed at my own request. I actually loved the very first episode, even while in the middle of watching season 3. I rewatched the first episode quite a few times. Red Sky at Night. I loved how Patrick was so not in the mood to investigate, and I felt like they brought a little bit of that darkness back from season 1 that was missing in season 2. And I just thought the case was really fun. And then number 4 was good. I liked episode 4 because it set up the finale. Red carpet treatment. They brought in the senator from The Office. He actually gave a really good performance, and I really loved the mystery of the episode. I thought that was a really good one. I also liked episode 6 I loved how Patrick was wrong, or, this one was funny too, because as soon as Patrick returned to that room and the doctor was there standing in front of the coffin, I knew that the body must have been inside the coffin. I knew it. And I should have known too that the doctor was probably the bad guy, and that's what it turned out to be. But I loved that. I thought that was really good. Then Red Moon, that's the Todd Johnson episode, which that becomes a major story of the season, is the story of Todd Johnson and the evil policeman who is, just complete. He might be one of the most evil characters in the entirety of The Mentalist. Like, he was so cold. He kind of reminded me of the villains from Monk. In Monk, all the villains were like ice cold. Like a lot of the villains in The Mentalist, they're like, well, I didn't want to kill that guy, but I had to. But like all the villains in Monk, they're like, I killed that bitch. Yeah. They're all really, really evil in Monk, and in The Mentalist, a lot of them are kind of like, well, I didn't want to kill anyone. It happened. But anyways, Red Moon was really good. Bloodhounds was pretty good. That one was kind of okay. Red Alert I thought was really good, but that was also kind of a rip-off episode of the Monk episode, Gus walks into a bank. But still, the reason why I really like that one is because the guy that they got to be the guy who is holding up the bank, even though he's innocent, he wants to be found innocent. That's like the whole story of the episode. Sorry for being so short and simple, but I just don't want to go on for too long. He actually seemed like a really bad guy. Like he came off as like such an evil character. It was really hard to believe that he was innocent, and so to me that really made the episode stand out. Whereas in Psych, the guy who was holding up the bank was, Cameron from Ferris Bueller. So, you can't really think too harshly of him. And then Blood for Blood was good. That was the one where Grace screwed up. And by the way, I really love the character of LaRoche. That's the dad from Superman, and then I also saw him in a TV movie last year called I Know My First Name is Steven. He's a really, really good actor, and I really love the character of LaRoche. I would like to see more of him. I know that he's in the next couple of seasons in a very limited capacity, but I'm just kind of trying to say what I would have wanted as a viewer back when they made this show live. Like, this is what I would have said back then. And then I really liked Red Gold because I really like Hightower. I really like Hightower, the hypocrite. I feel like she'd be a perfect love interest for anyone, and especially Patrick. And, I really liked her. So I really liked the episode Red Gold, even though it's not the strongest mystery. Red Queen was another masterpiece of an episode. It wasn't as grand as the finale, but to me, it was so, so good. It was so satisfying, and one of the things that I love throughout about the season is that in season 2, remember how I said, look, there's like 2 or 3 acts of season 2. The first act, they have stuff about Red John in every episode, And then after that, they basically kind of ignored that the rest of the season. Well, in season 3, there are 2 acts. Before Todd Johnson and after Todd Johnson. And as soon as Todd Johnson happens, they talk about Red John throughout the rest of the season. There's plot developments basically every single episode. And so that's what I really loved, is that like that plot develops throughout the season instead of just coming back like in one episode here and there. So yeah. Red Queen was an A+. I mean, A+ episode. And then Bloodstream was okay. That was kind of a weaker one. But it was still good. The Red Mile, what is that one? Oh, that one wasn't that good, but that one was okay. That was like an alien episode. What happened in that one? Oh yeah, that's the one where, okay, that one was okay. You know, that one was all about the coroner who was dying, and so I did really like that one because I loved the emotion at the end. Patrick helps this guy commit suicide because he finds out he's chronically ill, and I thought that was really sweet the way that it happened. It was very tragic, and it was very, very poignant the way that it was done. Every Rose Has Its Thorn, I would give an A++ because, listen, this one had Vanessa from Deadpool, Marina Baccarin. And this is quite possibly the best anyone has looked in a movie or TV show in the history of everything. I don't know how she did it. Like, she must have, I think she'd be really good in a vampire movie because she was so good looking in this episode. I was like, oh my God, how is that even possible? I would also say, too, seeing her in this episode, I really wish that they would hire her as Catwoman, because she would make the perfect Catwoman. She was the standout about this episode, and one of the best things about Season 3, I thought that Redacted was really good. That was the one where Patrick hired someone to break into LaRoche's house. The thing that I loved was the fact that, like, Patrick could not figure out how to solve this issue. And then he tells Teresa about it. I like the fact that him and Teresa got closer throughout the season and they started to trust each other more. And again, this is something you can't do in an 8-episode season. You can't have this kind of slow burn development that you have in 24-episode seasons. So I really liked that. I really liked when Teresa helped him. She just walks into this room and punches the guy who helped Patrick because he got caught. And then all of a sudden, well, he's going to be let off because there's the case has to be thrown out. You know, like, you can't just, you know, I mean, that's police brutality, you know, and so all she had to do is just punch him one time. That was so good, though. I thought that was so fun. And then the one about Rigsby's dad was okay. Rhapsody in Red was the one about the violinists. I thought that one was really good, too. I thought it was a solid episode. I love the part at the end where Patrick played with all the other people on their instruments and everything. And, you know, there were just so many good little things throughout the entire season. I think that I could talk for like 5 to 10 hours about all the little things throughout the season that I liked. And yeah, so not going to talk about the finale because I'm going to dedicate an entire video just to that. But in general, I would like to say I'm very thankful that I got to see The Mentalist Season 3. I'm very thankful that I gave this series a chance because I was not happy with the first episode of the series. At first, I thought it was very dark, and I thought it was a huge turnoff. It was very dark and very unpleasant, and I'm glad that I decided to stick with it, because I think that so far, this series is really paying off. Now, I will say, I still do not like the person that they got to play Red John. He's a great actor. Like, I think that he does good in his role, but he is not Red John at all. So, maybe he'll transform in some way or something. I don't know, but I highly doubt it. So that might be one of the biggest issues with the series, is that they really dropped the ball. They got someone who's clearly not Red John. And so, yeah. In terms of food, you know, I think that I reviewed Season 2, what I had on Halloween, which was this meal from KFC. So I'm going to stick with the fried chicken theme, the fried chicken motif. And I'm going to give Season 3 a meal that I had yesterday because I've been really in the mood for fried chicken. I mean, I don't like eating fast food all the time. I don't like that. But I love crispy, tasty fried chicken. So I decided to get Raising Cane's. And I actually, it was just kind of like a whatever thing, like, oh, I feel like I'm in the mood for fried chicken today. And Raising Cane's has a history of being really, really bad. You know, a lot of the times they will either overcook the chicken to the point where it is inedible, or the breading is soggy. And surprisingly, the chicken was so good, I ate every single one. Every single tender in that box, I ate. And so it was really surprising to me how good that Raising Cane's was. And it was just such a treat. It's not something that I eat all the time. I would say that I get fried chicken like once a month or once every other month. So at the end of October, I got chicken. And at the beginning of December, I got chicken. So yeah, that's what I would give The Mentalist Season 3. It was surprisingly great. It was surprisingly phenomenal. The finale is like on a whole other level. I mean, the finale was so good that it was like, I don't even know how they did this. I mean, it just shows, though, when you have 24 episodes, you can do a lot. Sorry, guys. I have a stuffy nose right now, so it's making it. I need to blow my nose. I'm having the stupid allergies already today, from being in my room, of course, and so sorry about that. But I love Season 3. I would highly recommend 2. If you haven't seen the show, start watching the show. I hope that I don't regret recommending it, because I hope that the show continues to get better and better. But for some reason, it kind of feels to me almost like Season 3 was like a series finale because of the way that they treated it. And because it seems like, well, if they had this huge plan, then surely they must have continued to plan things out and create like a meticulous, series where like each season builds and builds and builds. Like clearly they're not just gonna start throwing shit at the wall which I'll still enjoy it. I will still enjoy it because I love the characters. I love the actors. I think that the way that the show is filmed, the way that the show is made, it's very inspiring because, nowadays we get nothing that's good. Everything's terrible. Movies are terrible. I have to give a bad review like every single day, for the new movies that come out. And the TV shows aren't even TV shows, and they're terrible too. Alien Earth got renewed for a second season after the first season was abysmal trash. After the first season was so horrible, the finale was just a disaster. I don't know how that show got renewed for a season 2. Very, very embarrassing. So yeah, that's about it. That's about all I have for The Mentalist Season 3. I will say, too, I think that Patrick as a character, he needs some help. Throughout the season, it seemed like he got more and more desperate. So I can't wait to see how his character evolves. Because he was in a really bad place when he did what he did in the finale. And one of the things that they haven't really touched upon is his lack of sleep. He continues to, have this insomnia problem. And they showed that in the first episode of season 1, but they have not brought that up again. And to me, I wonder if they'll bring that up again and kind of show more of that and show more of his personal side, because this job is really all he has. This job solving cases. So yeah. Anyways, please like this video and comment, and please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more honest reviews. Lastly, we have a Patreon. I just made a short film called County Fear, and the only place that you can see that is our Patreon page, so check that out now. As well, there is a ton of bonus content on the Patreon, and we will continue to upload more bonus content there. And I also have over an hour and 40 minutes of behind the scenes of making my short film. So if you like behind the scenes indie filmmaking stuff, you would love my Patreon. Lastly, I would like to continue to give a shout out to the TV Police podcast. There you can see the actors playing Rigsby and Cho every week. And they are doing a rewatch of the entire series of The Mentalist. And I think that that's really, really cool. I have not watched an episode yet, but maybe I will pretty soon. I just don't want them to spoil anything. So, I'm kind of hesitant. I don't want them to be like, oh, well, remember that part in season 7 where this thing happened? I don't want to get any spoilers. So I'm trying to kind of refrain from watching that, even though I'm really excited about it. So yeah, goodbye everybody. See you soon.